Hello, my name is Herschel Siegel, and I'm a student of Professor Danielle Wasserman's Biology 2 lab, and I'm going to give you a presentation on the Red Spotted Eastern Newt, or Notophthalmus Viridescens, which is the binomial name. First things first, we need to look at the phylogeny of this Red Spotted Eastern Newt. The phylogeny of the Red Spotted Eastern Newt, it began as a tetrapod, which then diverged into an amniot, and there's amniota, and then there's the other side, which is what we're looking at, the frogs, the cecilians, and then the caudata, or the salamanders. Of the caudata, it then split off into two sections, the Plethodontidae and the Salamandridae. Guess which one the Eastern Red Salamander is, the Eastern Red Spotted Newt is part of? The Salamandridae. And there is our topic of discussion. And again, it's part of the amphibians. Now, where does the Eastern Red Spotted Newt live? It lives in the eastern region of North America, as far north as the southern regions of Quebec and Ontario in Canada, as far south as Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and even as far west as the eastern parts of Texas. While in this area, it generally lives in lakeshore zones or any area of woodlands or any area surrounded by a lake. So, now, what is the life cycle of this red spotted eastern newt? The life cycle has three stages: the larval stage, the juvenile or EFT stage, and the adult stage. In the larval stage, it's born in a pond, in a body of water, and it has gills like a tadpole that allow it to breathe and swim around. This stage lasts between 2 to 5 months. Afterwards, it begins metamorphosizing into the adult stage, which it then leaves the pond. The gills begin receding back in the body, and this stage can last anywhere between 2 to 7 years, the juvenile stage, or the EFT stage. During this time, this red-spotted salamander, by its name, it's red and it has red spots surrounded by black on it. It has a long rounded tail. It can grow up to 4 inches long, which is pretty large for a salamander, I think. And the back feet have 5 delicate toes, which allow it to be very grippy and maneuvering. And then the front feet also have 4 delicate toes. During this stage, it's terrestrial. It doesn't live in the water anymore because it can't, because its gills have receded. And it travels around eating food. So what does it eat? It eats any small or large invertebrates depending on its size. Things such as mayflies, zooplankton. What is another thing? Zooplankton. Fish eggs, leeches, snails, like anything of that caliber, it eats them and that's what it digests. But at the same time, what eats it? Well, there are turtles eat it, snakes eat it, large frogs eat it, sometimes even fish in one study that was done in the 1990s. But there are some things that don't eat it because of its poisonous skin, such as raccoons and certain species of hawks, which they will not pick out the salamander. Okay, now next up. Finally, it enters after 2 to 7 years. Here in the population in New York, it's 2 to 3 years for the juvenile stage. It now enters the adult stage. In the adult stage, it's now able to breed, and it automatically, using magnetic sun-based receptors in its body, it's able to figure out where its home pond is, the pond it was originally born in. It heads there to begin breeding, and it's attracted to females using chemoreceptors in its body and visual cues. One of these visual cues is it's always attracted to the larger female because they technically can produce more eggs. Okay, it's now in its adult stage. This stage will last the rest of its life, and then the salamander will die. Fun fact about them, they're very highly philopatric, which means that they don't really leave the area they're born in. They will move around, but they're not going to leave it. They usually move around at night on wet, moist nights, humid nights. And then in one particular study, whose Michael Lano, in his book Amphibian Declines, the Conservation Status of U.S. Species, he writes that in 5 independent cases, while these newts were in laboratories, all of them developed a cannibalistic approach, and they all ended up eating each other, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. But at the end of the day, if you didn't have food, what would you eat? Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.